I'll just start the recording and introduce you, and then we can go into the Ember token project.
Awesome.
I'll just give it another minute and then start the recording. Okay, if you're ready, Batman and JR, I can start the recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Awesome. Welcome to the Wellcoin Talk community. I'm Glenn, your host. Today we have joining us Ember. Speaking for Ember is JR and Batman. Ember is an agency first, product second. I was reading on the white paper. We're going to be talking about the advisory, branding, code and design agency services they're going to be offering with the Ember project. And then we've got the NFTs and their reward pools and custom NFTs. And there's also service revenue share as well with level 2 NFTs we can go into shortly and more. But first, can you introduce yourselves with your background and experience, guys? That'd be great.
Matt, after you.
Sure. So my name's Matt. I also go by Batman. I've been a software engineer for about almost 20 years now. Been in the crypto space since Bitcoin was less than $1. Used to mine it back in the day. Sold it when it was worth about $300 and thought it was awesome, and then cried about it later. I've been dabbling in a lot of different, larger coins with Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, back when that was a little bit bigger of a thing. Got introduced into the dev aspect of blockchain this time last year. So I'm not a blockchain developer, but I've been working with everything else from websites to community, helping with our security side with bots, NFT algorithms, all of our online digital footprint, community support, things like that. And so my role is essentially all things tech, aside from blockchain in this. And JR and I are 50-50 partners with Ember Agency. It's an LLC we created back in May of this year, based out of Wyoming, United States, for crypto reasons. However, the majority of our team is actually based out of Atlanta. JR, I'll kick it to you.
Thanks, brother. So yeah, my name's JR or John. I go by both. Me and Matt both have, I guess, alter egos, but a proud designer and a brand strategist with about I don't know, going on 17, 18 years experience in that field specifically. So I manage our brand outside of my CEO obligations. Matt and I are obviously co-partners in this, but we've got a pretty broad team. Really, my contribution to the project and to the agency is on the brand and marketing side. So I've built brands for small mom and pops all the way to Fortune 500 and some Fortune 100 companies, working with them. So that I come from a more traditional marketing, design, branding, illustration background. Running my own businesses for the past, I guess about 15, 16 years now. Got into DeFi as a consumer back in 2017, and then really just kind of dabbled in it just to get to know the space. I mean, a few friends kind of got into it and helped each other learn it, but didn't really get into the the business side of it until last year. And we were part of a project that unfortunately failed due to a bad actor getting involved by the previous founder, and caused the project to fail, which is really what prompted us to start Ember. So it's a nice story there. Happy to share it if we had the time. And yeah, just excited to be here. We are obviously, as you said, an agency first. We wanted to kind of bring our services into the space and help others who are either new projects or new experiences entering the space, as well as struggling or rugged projects to kind of help bring, breathe some new life into them through our recovery efforts and things like that. So lots to talk about today from a utility standpoint. But everything you see, visual, marketing, content, etc., is heavily run by me and my creative team through Ember. So any questions on that, feel free to let me know.
Okay, thanks for the introduction, JR and Batman. And yeah, if we can start with the community investors, can we go into an introduction for the Ember project? That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that David Hunter, who's also part of our advisory board, has his hand raised. So I didn't know if he had anything you want to pop in and say real quick.
David.
Yeah, not much to add and everything. Obviously, I'm part of the advisory board and everything. Most of you guys that are in here that are legit people actually know who I am from Blockstar and everything, and I've worked on many other projects. Ethereum push notifications, charge particles, and everything. I've been in the space well before Bitcoin. If any of you guys remember DigiCash and BitGold and all that, so I've been around for a while as a developer. Like I said, my record stands for itself. I've been in the space for a long time, and I go by my real name for a reason. People know me. This is a great project and everything. I got partnered up with Ember and everything with Redbeard and Batman, all that, just to help out with the contract side of it and the blockchain side of it as well. And we've been doing very well ever since as a partnership. So excited to be here and listen in.
Awesome. So Glenn, just you wanted us to go in and kind of start talking about the project. Is that right?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, just give an introduction to the Ember project for our community investors.
Okay, awesome. Matt, you want me to start off?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So Matt and I are not just business partners. We're been friends for a long time. Known each other, I guess, going on 8 years now or so, 7 years. Worked together outside of the space and just really built good rapport with each other. We each, he ran a freelance business outside of his day job. I had my own creative agency, and we were able to share some opportunities together. On the previous project that we ended up kind of going into, I was positioned to build a team, and he was my first phone call. I got put on that project. I was introduced through a mutual party to build a brand and create basically an ecosystem, and kind of build a name, build an environment, build a community. And I knew on the tech side, there was one person to call, and that was Matt. So called Matt. We kind of expanded our group beyond that, built an amazing project. The founders at that point were a little misguided and just very disconnected, unfortunately. And we really ran a lot of the show. And then some decisions were made by those founders. They brought in an outside dev. That dev rugged the project for $750,000. We had done so well on the marketing and brand building and trust building front. We ended up raising $980,000 in just 3 days in our pre-sale, and made a lot of great connections, a lot of great friends out of that. And to see that project get rugged like that, I know Matt lost over 1,000 hours. I lost well over 1,100 hours myself on that project, unpaid. We both had our own cash in it, and it was devastating. I mean, you can ask my wife who's listening in, and my twin girls. They'll tell you how devastating that was and how hard it was to recover. But we did our best to try to safely acquire it through an attorney and do an asset purchase. But just really the intentions could be trusted there, and there was so much risk involved that it just didn't make sense. And at that point, I called Matt and I said, "Hey, it's time to start an agency." I said, "I want to start an agency with you, and I want you to be my 50-50 partner." And he was like, "Let's saddle up. Let's do it." He was like, "What are you thinking?" I was like, "Well, I want to stay in the blockchain space. I value the space. It's the future. There's a lot of different verticals to go after here, both from a product standpoint and from a service standpoint. We both come from consulting and more traditional agency backgrounds." And I thought, well, let's at least start the agency. Let's build build our reputations in this space. It's going to take time. The way to fast track that into building faster, in my opinion, is to surround yourself with more experienced people. And that's exactly what we did. We built a board of advisors. We made a decision very early on. We were not going to hype the project or really the agency at that point. We wanted to go and establish ourselves and ensure a successful launch. So we started with the agency. We were in the midst of kind of starting to build a product, making sure our governance was in place on that. Part of that governance, by the way, is an advisory board that has risk management. It has business management, financial management, economic advisory. So these are people, and obviously blockchain with David. These are people that we've surrounded ourselves with, and they believed in our vision to not just start a project, but actually have a recovery mission from the previous one, which I'll get into in a second. That they're like, whatever we need to do. They put themselves out there and trusted us, and we're gracious enough to consider putting the time into our product and our company. And so we're blessed to have those advisors aboard, and you'll learn more a little bit about that before we're done today. So we launched the agency side, made some great friends. Our friends over at Beast Protocol were one of our first clients. We built their brand, did their NFTs, marketing, website, so on and so forth. And that at least got our name kind of pumping in the ecosystem. We then launched our token. We had made a decision very early on, again, that we were not going to market this. We were not going to hype it. We did not want a parabolic spike, because this is where the real purpose comes in. A lot of the people that were in our community at that point were from the previous project. We did not shield to them and say, hey, everything bad that happened here, we're going to just rebuild over here and come invest in this project. We just didn't like it felt tacky. It just didn't feel authentic. So we said, look, just want you to know what we're doing. We are building a brand and a product to help recover the funds that got stolen. And of course, the questions rang in, like, you're talking over, $750,000, $500,000 at the time. It's about 1,900 BNB. And we said, yeah, we understand. They're like, but this isn't your issue to fix. I said, it's not our issue to fix, but we felt a civil and moral obligation. I mean, the people involved in that project are not just lifelong friends at this point to us. Some of them are family, friends, neighbors, clients, you name it. And, we felt, even though it wasn't our fault, our reputations were on the line. And Matt and I have worked too hard to build that. So we said, let's do what's right. Let's do what's honorable. And we're going to rebuild that money. And, anybody crazy enough to come off a rug project, start a brand new company. We have a registered agency, Ember Agency LLC out of Wyoming, surround it with legal protection, surround it with, again, all the governance that I've explained, and then be willing to give away over $500,000 is not for the faint of heart, as you can imagine. But we know that goodness can prevail in this space. I think it's safe to say there's a lot of people out there that are sick of, pump and dump rug pull schemes, and they're sick of bad actors, and they're sick of trash projects that they can't believe in. And we said it's time to be the light in the dark alleys, and it takes a certain amount of I don't know, bravery, I guess, is maybe the right word. And that's what we found with our team, and beyond our team, our core community. And they followed us, they believed in us, and now we launched our coin. I'm happy to get into that, but if you have any questions on what kind of brought us to here, I know myself from that would be happy to answer those.
No, Joe, it's great. I mean, it rings a bell for us in the community here. We actually started from a project that was dived and disappeared, and so we brought the investors over here, started Whalecoin Talk, and the other day we had Tron and BitBoy on Twitter Spaces. So that's what you can sort of build and help recover funds for investors. So that's amazing. I don't want to go into that too much. This is about your project, but going into the agency service model that you're building, have you been talking to people? Have you got scouts going out looking at projects that need advice, branding, code, and design? And how does it sort of work? How many people are on the team working in that department?
Yeah, I'll kick that off and hand it over to Matt, let him speak for a minute. But those core pillars of our agency side, we were blessed enough to be able to start off with that before we even launched our token. I want to say, Matt, I don't remember when that time frame was, around back in when was it, May? I want to say somewhere around there when we started working with Beast. So we got started, and we're able to, again, build their brand. If you guys want to go look them up on your own, it's Beast Protocol. Amazing project that's launching soon. We can, show them a little later on our own, but they're good friends of ours. A couple of them are actually on our advisory board as well. And we were blessed to be able to work with them. So as far as the services go, Matt handles everything, code. We have our advisory, which we can dive into a little bit more, and then everything from branding and design really is what me and my side of the team cover. So we've we're here to build better, stronger brands with more governance and more security. I mean, flat out, there's really no other way to say it. People that don't just want a logo for a few $100, but actually want to build an online personality and even an offline personality through cohesive, brand voice and brand vision and communication guidelines and just building that rapport with their community. So there's never a gray area in who they are, what they do, and why it matters. And I think this space lacks heavily in good brand, governance and good brand consistency. And I think if people felt they were investing in the Coca-Cola of crypto, or they're investing in the Nike or the Adidas or the Starbucks, like that level of security with people, I think is really, really important when they're putting their own hard-earned money on the line. And you've got to start somewhere, and it starts with just being able to connect with your audience. So beyond just identity development or logo design or any of the visual stuff, it's about building a trust model with your audience. So that's really where we come in. We kind of start brand centric. I think there's a lot of projects out there that might exist that either they may have a great a great utility or great tokenomics or a great vision, but they lack they may lack in the in the creative space, or they may lack a professional web presence, and vice versa. They may have great branding and great marketing, but they may lack on the blockchain side, or just don't have a corporate structure that will give their investors a foundation of trust. Like, okay, you guys are you're going to be here for a while, and you're a solidified business that's worth investing in. Very, very rare. I thought I'd see a lot more real registered LLC businesses in the space as we kind of immerse ourselves in it, and they really just don't exist. And I think that just becomes a testament to people's, not just their character, but their promise, their brand promise, their community promise that, look, we're not a pump and dump. We're not just trying to get a Lambo in a month. Like, that's like nobody cares about that. Like, people listening here might, I don't know, but that's just not our audience. Like, our audience are people that are looking for longevity and want to believe in a business. And so that's why our service model is so important, because it's our backbone to our token. It's what drives us. And even more importantly, just more intrinsically, we're not basing our success off of our product. We base our success off of the sweat of our brow through our background of consulting and our background of service. And we feed our product through that, no matter what. So that way, if we get sales on the chart, which, we had a great launch, we'll get to that in a minute. But a lot of profits were taken. And as we continue to build the service side, we'll continue to strengthen our own product and put that effort behind it. So Matt, if you want to add to that, feel free.
Yeah. So we've already had at least one other project reach out asking for us to kind of take a look at it. We're also just based on our own community, like a lot of our people. Sorry about that. Can you still hear me? Okay, I think clicked off for a second. All right, looks like it's working. A lot of our people are in other projects as well. So we have community members that can reach out and say, hey, y'all should take a look at this one or that one. And on top of that, we're not only going after crypto-centric companies or projects to try and get work, but JR and I also have our own client list of the past 20 years each of us have been in the space. And Ember Agency will be acquiring both my business and his business, and we'll be combining our client list of well over 500 customers that we've had over the years, as well as brick and mortar, like mom and pop, like local businesses, large businesses that we already have those working relationships with, and rolling it all under the Ember Agency umbrella. So it's going to, kickstart us, right? We're not a brand new company going, like, Ember Agency is new, but JR and I are not. And so we're starting off with a really big list of names that we've worked with in the past, and we have new projects coming up all the time. We just signed one a couple days ago. That's going to be going out here pretty soon. So there's no end to the work that we can bring in as an agency that's going to continue to back the token.
Great, Batman. And are you concentrating specifically on crypto, or are you actually looking at real world companies that need help as well, because you've got experience in that as well in the past?
Exactly. Yeah, we're focused on both. And JR and I both believe wholeheartedly that blockchain and Web3, like, this is the future. of everything as far as technology goes. And so there's a lot of ideas and a lot of things that haven't even been tapped into that we want to start bringing those regular businesses into blockchain. Like how can, not even from a cryptocurrency perspective, but how can the blockchain technology help this company with something they're doing? Or how can it help them grow or expand their view into NFTs or into dApps or something along those lines, right? And there's a lot of possibilities out there.
Yeah, just to add to that real quick, the project we just landed the other day is an e-commerce site for a former professional sports player, actually, and he's manufactured a product and looking to bring it to market. And because Matt and I are solely focused on Ember, we're not looking to run other businesses on the side at this point. I've run a couple. He's run his freelance business for many years outside of his day job and things like that. We want to roll this all up, and that way it creates a bridge to DeFi. It creates a bridge to blockchain. It creates a bridge to to crypto. And just even in passing on our first meeting with this client, we were like, hey, there may, who knows, maybe we could create NFTs for some of the players as a value add. And because, he's dealing with everybody from youth to minor leagues to some major leagues. And so it's like, why not introduce DeFi in a creative fashion that way, almost like trading cards. Kids are more susceptible to learn DeFi at their age now than they were 5-10 years ago. So that kind of bridge is why we're looking to work with businesses outside of the space and bring them in.
Great. And I was reading, like, if you can get involved and get service revenue as well, if you have a level 2 NFT, 3% of your service revenue for investors. How can investors get involved with that? What's involved?
JR, you may speak to that real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
So we've actually expanded it to be a little bit more than that. And we've purposely left it kind of flexible. And so we're going to have 3 different levels of NFTs. The level 1, all it gets you is like kind of a lottery ticket. The level 2 and the level 3 are the ones that take part in the rewards pool based on how much you spend. So like if you spent 1 BNB or if you spent 5 BNB, it's a 1x or a 5x, and everything in between. And so what we're doing with that right now is a couple different things. One is every NFT sale, a portion of those proceeds goes directly back into the reward pool. On top of that, if we have different giveaways and auctions of other things, like we had an auction of an NFT last month that could only be purchased with Ember tokens. And so that ended up going for like 7.5 million Ember tokens. It was insane. And we took half of that and put it to the agency. We took the other half and put it straight into the rewards pool. And then where the consultonomics comes in, like the agency aspect, is every time we get paid from a client, 25% of that gets set aside for either a buy on the chart directly, or we might be splitting it up between Ember and BNB and going into the rewards pool. But either way, like 25% of that is going to go back into the project, whether it be NFTs, helping out our mods, if we want to put a little extra into like some marketing on something, so things like that. So we started off with 3%. It felt honestly a little low. So we'll be tweaking some things, and we wanted to make it more flexible. Like some months it might be 5%, some months it might be 15%. I think it's just going to depend on the ebb and flow of the agency and kind of how that budget comes in month over month. But I can say it's going to be more than 3% for sure. We'll probably set like a 5% minimum or something like that. And JR and I will talk on that later and update the white paper accordingly. So there's multiple things that build up that reward pool, and it goes out to all of the level 2 and level 3s. So for instance, last month we gave out 54.5 BNB, or no, sorry, that was the total NFT sales was 54.5 BNB. Of that, 8.8 BNB got sent out to rewards holders, and about 3.75 million Ember tokens got sent out to rewards holders. And so as that kind of builds up over time, that amount is going to increase. It'll fluctuate from month to month just based on how it goes. But So if you're interested in taking part in the rewards pool, go buy an NFT, either a level 2 or above. And we send those out on the 15th of every month.
What's the cost to mint the NFTs? And are you guaranteed, or is it like random whether you can get a level 1, 2, or 3?
Oh no, it's completely it's guaranteed. So we have our NFT. If somebody wants to post a link in the chat, I don't know if your thing will block it or not. See if I can get it.
Shared chat. I can post that in the main chat for you. No problem.
Let's see. It's over here on Blockstar. Yeah, it's nft.blockstar.site, and then right now. Sorry, I'll send it to you in just a second. But you actually get to pick what you want, and from there, we even offer custom NFTs. So like we have community members that have started to actually place orders and tell JR like, hey, I want a level 3. This is my budget. You know, this is kind of like what theme I'm thinking. So like, for instance, if anybody looks at my profile picture, I told them I wanted a Batman theme. And so JR drew my NFT and I minted it. And I actually donated 100% of the proceeds. So mine was 5 BNB. I threw all of that into the rewards pool. So JR and I didn't take any part of that. DMNT.
Great. But I'm looking at your strategic partners as well. So I think Blockstar are doing the NFT minting early for Ember. So from the Ember agency, the advisory, branding, code and design, which parts are in-house and which parts are you outsourcing to your strategic partners?
So right now, everything is in-house with 2 exceptions. From the staking aspect, that's hosted through CryptoStew, who is a block syndicate. And so he is our advisor and he helps with all that stuff. And then on the blockchain side right now, David Hunter from Blockstar was the one that wrote our contract. He's been helping us get up off the ground with all of that. You know, we're currently vetting out trusted blockchain developers. We're starting them off with some smaller projects. But as far as like our contract itself, it's fully built out. You know, it's locked down. We're not going to be really altering that any. So we're constantly looking for new partners and people that can help out where we need help. But aside from that, all of the design, non-blockchain development, consulting, like that kind of stuff, that's all done in-house.
Yeah, just to point real quick, Batman. So I know that, you know, Blockstar gets a lot of credit for being like the third party that's doing the contract and all that stuff. But as a partner, we use and leverage their company for Ember and everything. And they're part of our launch pad and everything that we're doing going forward as well. And being able to offer all of their services and leveraging those for all of our IncuPad services and all that stuff as well. So it is a true partnership. It's not like it's just a third party, just like an unknown company that they're using or that we're using either. So we really are entangled in that aspect.
Yeah, exactly. So like we built out the Ember swap. That is the only place to buy is either through our swap or Blockstar's. So like we worked together, we actually built that. And so that's going to be, you know, what Blockstar uses, and we can actually white label it and use it for other clients of ours that want to launch. And the same thing with Blockstar's Launchpad. Like they'll be able to use, you know, David's Launchpad and have access to that staking and other things as well.
Right. So it's more of a partnership than it is actually a third party. I just want to be clear on the wording and everything, because it is a true partnership, not just a third party company that's separated out.
Yeah, that's why I addressed it early on. Just to add to that, you know, we know our strengths. You know, my strength in branding, design, and marketing. Matt's strength in software engineering, development, community management. We knew we needed to expand kind of our army, if you will. And you know, David was one of the, you know, really one of the first calls. David and Stu, and I'd love for Stu to be able to speak to his contributions as well to you know, as a part of our team, because he's very much involved. He's kind of a hybrid advisor, you know, boots on ground. And you know, just like David, you know, David is active every day on our team calls. We have about 20 on average about 15 to 20 people on our team calls every day across about 11 time zones, and it's really awesome to see the whole team come together like that. So I know Stu actually wants to speak if we can give him a chance to add in.
Crypto Stu, yeah. Hi, Crypto.
Thanks, Jerry. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Glad I'm able to jump in. Kind of to piggyback on what David is referring to on the Blockstar side with the partnership with Ember, really a lot of the great alignment kind of bilaterally there. My firm, Block Syndicate, what we do is we help individuals and corporations onboard into DeFi safely, whether that's just investment strategy, also some mechanisms getting into Web3 from that advisory perspective. And so that's really where the alignment between the Ember agency and Block Syndicate came into play, was being able to leverage some of our aspects for some aligned for tokenomics and ecosystem structure. But then obviously Ember agency, they're doing it all in-house. We truly are the advisory firm for that structure. A lot of those times I'm working with David over at Blockstar for some build and support, but then it's definitely a great partnership between the two. So that's where I've come into play, and definitely to echo David of it's the true partnership of that. It's not an offshored work, but definitely from an advisory panel of people and experts in the field that are coming, and then Ember agency is able to take all that input, run with it, and then build in house and go from there.
Hey, great. Yeah, it's great to have great strategic partners on board, and it'll just help the Ember agency going forward. And you've also got the Ember advisory board as well. What are they actually bringing to the table, and how did you sort of get them together to come on board?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So you'll see names in the white paper. One of them, I should pull it up here so I can sort of run through the list. Starting from kind of the top on our advisory board, Greg has actually been my personal business mentor since about 2010, roughly. We've known maybe even earlier, 2008, somewhere around there. But we've known each other for quite a while, and he's invested in some of my non-crypto based businesses or DeFi based businesses, and kind of started as a friend turned client turned investor turned partner turned advisor. So we've had quite an ebb and flow relationship throughout the years, and he's like family to me. He introduced me to Charlie, who's our risk advisor. So Charlie's actually a C-level risk advisor for a Fortune 500, Fortune 100 company. But for his privacy, I can't really say that. Point is he's offered his time very graciously to help us make decisions when it comes to working with struggling projects, when it comes to brand reputation management. I work very directly with him on that. We have weekly calls. In fact, after this AMA at 7 p.m., I believe our time, or even 6 p.m. our time, I want to say, we have our leadership call that he'll be on. Mike is our attorney who we actually tried to leverage to acquire the previous project, and he found enough interest in the DeFi space that he offered to really kind of be a part of our advisory board as well. And he helps write our, obviously helps us keep us protected from our IP and asset assignments to our contracts to our, and I mean actual, corporate contracts, not smart contracts. But if there's any FUD, if there's anything else out there, anybody trying to damage our reputation, we just have him look at it from an assessment standpoint. But more so, we leverage Mike to help make sure the people that we're dealing with, the clients we deal with, that all of that is governed properly, and we have ourselves protected and the client protected. Something you probably don't see a lot in the space, but that's worth having him aboard and keeping him a part of our ecosystem. Block Syndicate, you heard from Stu. They help with our DeFi and economic strategy. Blockstar, you've heard from David. They are our core blockchain advisor. David was gracious enough to extend his time to actually write our contract. It's a very intricate contract. I know he'd be happy to delve into that if there's time. But outside of that, he's a very busy guy. As much as he supports us, we want to get to a point, once we stabilize a little bit more and find our footing. We're only a month old. We want to be able to get back to supporting him on the agency side as well, as he said. He's very busy, and so we are. We do have some in-house blockchain, resources, if you will, but it's more of an education, thing at this point, and getting them further along with David as an advisor on that. So, probably like an 80-20 split right now. And David's again been kind enough to offer advisory and some mentorship. to that dev on our team, and his name's Dimitri. Lastly is BD Capital and Beast. So those were our first clients that we got to work with, and they were referred to us actually from people from the last project, and they've been wonderful. They've not only been good clients, we've become great friends, and they've got really just incredible ecosystems and communities themselves, and brought a lot of foresight, prior to us launching, to things to consider in building our communities, because the guys at BD Capital had already done it. They'd already been through a launch, and so on and so forth. So altogether, we meet on average about once a month, but our core advisory board, which is really the first, the top 5 that you see on that page, on the advisory page, we try to meet weekly, and that way, in my opinion, I think, and everybody's heard me say this, the best leaders in the world are also the best listeners. And, me and Matt, as we continue to fill the shoes in leadership and others in our company, we want people that we can listen to, because if you're not always learning, you're in the way. And if your ears are clogged, your head kind of explodes, right? And so we believe in always wanting to learn, and always wanting to have somebody not necessarily second guessing, but giving a double check to everything that we do. Sometimes before we do it, and other times after we do it, so we can learn from it. So that's really where our advisory kicks in. But these are all personal contacts.
Great, JR. And going back to the Ember agency, I don't know whether there's competition in that area around crypto and outside. It seems like you're covering a very broad spectrum, inside crypto and outside crypto with the agency. So, but if there is competition, what are you doing differently to the competition? But it looks like you're early out the gates, and it's an early company in an exciting, expanding market.
I mean, to be honest, and I think, Matt, if you want to speak separately to this, we got asked this in an AMA we were on when we first launched, and it was like, well, what differentiates yourself, and how are you going to be in front of others? And I said, well, to me, in this space, there's so many people that are always going to be against you and against the average investor by taking their money and not governing it properly, and using them to pump themselves up and rug a project, or steal from them, or manipulate their investments, whatever. To me, entering the space is about aligning with people, and I think less of how do we stand out. Our work speaks for itself, our reputation speaks for ourselves, and that just takes time for people to be able to learn and embrace. Outside of that, I think the fact that we aren't completely bound to our commitments on the token itself. We put a heavy dose of focus into it, but we're as you said, when we first started, we're an agency first, product second, and without that backbone, we can't help others in the space. We can't help further our product and other products we want to build. It's not just about building tokens and building coins. There's dApps, there's things like that. There's utilities we want to build, and are in the process of building and mapping out for 2023 that are so far beyond just a chart and a token. Not to minimize the value of that, but I think there's a lot of gaps that we're eager to fill, and I haven't found another hybrid agency token out there doing it. So I thought it would be a unique space to kind of jump into. So Matt, if you want to add to that, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just throw in, I guess, from the brick and mortar side, like there's a lot of other agencies and things out there from just purely the crypto aspect of doing all kinds of marketing and branding and building websites and things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that I think just from the nature of it, if they're not taking things seriously, it looks like a 5-year-old did it. No offense to any 5-year-olds listening, but there's a lot of stuff, like you can tell a big difference between the legitimate projects and the fakes just by how much effort they put into their online presence. And so for the legitimate ones, if they want to come and spend some money and take on Ember agency, like we're more than happy to help them do whatever they need to have a successful launch and to get eyes on the project. But more so from the brick and mortar aspect, because I think I'm sure there's some really, really big companies out there that are trying to get normal businesses into the blockchain space, but you're talking about people that have budgets of like millions and millions of dollars, right? Like Adidas and Nike and Coca-Cola and companies like that, like they have either entire large-scale agencies that they're working with, or they have internal teams that are working on taking that on themselves. Now, anybody outside of that scope, the smaller companies that have 5 and 6 figure type budgets to start really building out this space. And there's a lot more of them than there are of the $1 million projects. That's where I think Ember is going to fit in. And I think we're so early in crypto and in blockchain as a whole that this is going to be, this is huge, right? Like, everybody knows about Bitcoin. A lot of people know about the metaverse. VR and stuff like that. They're making great strides. I mean, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, imagine how much everything is going to change. That's in a technology space, or even your local brewery, about how they would be utilizing that to also bolster their business and build up new stuff. I mean, it's just, it honestly, it doesn't matter how many other companies or agencies or organizations are out there doing this. There's so much to be done, that it's just gonna take a lot of time and a lot of people to really eat up all of the projects that are coming, right? So we don't see it as a threat or a competition per se. We know what we're capable of. We know the quality that we bring, and we're here for the long haul. We're looking at 5, 10, 15-year plans. We're not looking at 3 months from now. So that's what I would say to that.
Right, and just to pick up real quick on what Matt said, not only do Matt and JR already come with a built-in portfolio over the years that they've done, but they're also building out their portfolio in the crypto space to really be at the forefront as we start getting more and more mainstream adoption, to be the go-to place for like those companies like Nike, Adidas, and all those other big companies like Matt had mentioned. But not only that, but to really build the core out in the crypto space to become, again, at the forefront of that when we do get more mainstream adoption. But again, they already have a huge portfolio now, but it's continuing to build out that portfolio in this space and help legit companies come in safely and to build out a brand directly in the crypto space. And they come with a lot of knowledge to be able to do that.
David and Batman, yeah, I can see the Ember agency growing into the future, and the vision there, because there's as a AMA host, I've done over 600 AMAs. We do have some great projects in, but they don't know how to market. The contract can fail because they've got real life experience with huge companies in the real world, and then they come, they want to come into crypto, but they don't get the right advice, branding, code and design, which Ember Agency is offering. So I can definitely see that really helping as we go mainstream, to help these companies who don't fail on purpose. They just fail from their lack of experience, and the Ember Agency in the future could offer that to many companies in the real world. So if we go to the tokenomics breakdown, the buy and sell tax, and you've also got a backdraft tax as well for investors, how does that work?
Yeah, so I can speak to that. So our standard tax on buy and sell is 10%. So 90% goes to the buyer or seller. The other bit of it, 4% is reflections, which is actually scraped in BNB. It accrues over time, and then when it triggers, I think at 1 BNB and above, it'll actually trigger a buy on the chart. It'll throw the Ember into a wallet, and then right now our reflections are manually triggered. So whenever David feels like tickling the audience, he sends those out, and they have a lot of fun with that. Everything else is scraped in BNB. So we have a 1% future liquidity, 1% advisory and legal, 2% token recovery fund, which is what we talked about early on from that aspect, and 2% in our marketing operations. And so the benefit with all of that being scraped in BNB is it doesn't create sell pressure on the chart. The agency and the token, like, we don't have to sell anything in order to pay for our AMAs or our marketing or things like that. It's just right off the top. And if anything, it's actually more buy pressure, because a lot of times, like when we're paying for our advisory or legal, or if we're, want to do some marketing or giveaway, like we'll actually buy Ember token on the chart, and that'll be, what we send out to some people. to pay them if they would rather have it that way. The backdraft tax that comes into effect if anybody dumps, essentially, like if they sell more than greater than or equal to 5% of their tokens within a 24-hour rolling period, they'll get backdrafted, and that just takes that 10% tax and it 3x's it. So 30%, and all of the numbers I mentioned a second ago, they're just all 3x across the board. So those reflections, instead of 4% are 12. The recovery fund, instead of being 2%, it's 6, and so on. And we've tried a few different percentages that that number can be adjustable as needed. So if we see an issue where we think we need to bump that number up a little bit, we do. We tried it at greater than or equal to 10% for a little while. That ended up being, just too high, so we bumped it back down to 5. And now, anybody's welcome to sell their wallet. Like if they want to sell their wallet, they can do it. They're just going to pay 30% taxes, and everybody still holding has a little mini party about the additional reflections that they're getting. And yeah, so I mean that's kind of how that ties into everything. And then the consultants we already touched on.
Okay, awesome, Batman. And what's the marketing plans over the next quarter for the Ember token for investors, for the Ember agency? How are you getting your name out there across crypto space and into e-commerce and other areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we get asked this a lot, obviously just like many other coins out there. We're pretty out of the box. I'm not gonna lie. We wanted to, I don't want to say appease, but we did want to at least test the waters in traditional marketing spend with AMAs and kind of doing our tour there and doing some Twitter promotions and working. And we've made some great contacts. Don't get me wrong. We've gotten, we were able to grow our group. We're able to grow our follower base and allow them to get to know us. I think all of this really comes back down to our original mission, which was never to hype this. We didn't really talk about our launch yet, which I can get into and kind of explain, our philosophy behind it. But really all it boils down to is we didn't want this thing to go parabolic because it just creates a massive sell pressure. And then it's this panic sell, that brings you back down to earth. And we 100x'd and, we almost 100x'd in 2 weeks. And we that was unmarketed, completely organic, other than getting our name and brand out on social media, heavily just on Instagram, a little bit on Twitter, and just barely on Facebook. It just kind of went nuts, and we couldn't really control it. It didn't make us nervous. We just kind of knew like this isn't going to last forever in a bear market, and all we're doing is attracting a lot of people that are watching red lines go down, and they're thinking, well, these guys are clearly doing something right. Let's hop on board, take our profits, and really what we were left with was still an 18x floor, and it's fluctuated a little bit since then. But it came back down, and really the people that were left were our diamond-handed, community members, and I'm sure a handful of new ones. So from here, now we get to do what we wanted to do, which is grow. I don't want to say organically, but we wanted to grow a little bit slower. So if you're looking for a moonshot coin, we're not your coin. It doesn't mean we're not going to have parabolic growth again, or massive, volume come in. I think when you hear what we have planned for 2023 and how we're tying in NFTs into the real world and how we're working with brick and mortar businesses, getting them into DeFi and also bringing DeFi out into more physical realms, it all plays into our marketing. So short answer is over the next quarter, we have a series of different verticals, if you will, that are centered around our marketing. Everything from continual digital spend right now, which it's really just not wise to do a lot of paid promotions in a bear market. I mean, we've been blessed to get in touch with you guys and have you there, and hopefully we get some growth out of this. At least educate some people along the way. That's what we hope for. But we're going to be very, very cautious on that because we've spent well into 5 figures on marketing, and so far we've had a less than 1% ROI on that. And we've had lots of compliments from everybody we've spoken with, and they're like, you guys were our best one, this and that. People loved you. They want to learn more. So I don't think it's our presentation. I don't think it's the commitment. I don't think it's a trust value. I think people are just afraid to spend money right now. So, while we love the following, we have to make sure there's an ROI there. And that's why our marketing efforts are going to be very, very abstract. They're going to be much different. And I'm going to pull the filter in our main chat real quick. And I'm just going to run you through a list. Just that way I kind of go in order here on our marketing. And really all that boils down to is continued AMAs. We have another one lined up, I believe next week. It's the 25th, I want to say. We are still going to work with some of the influencers we've worked with, but we're just kind of keeping our marketing, dollars secure right now. Not going too hard on that. We have our first in-person event here in Atlanta, where we're from, on the 29th. So we actually have a handful of our community members coming out of town from surrounding states to come in and be able to shake our hands and hopefully give some hugs at that point, because we've really got to know a lot of these members, and they become great friends. So we're going to continually do in-person events. We have this kind of gets into a much broader discussion, but we have a deep-rooted passion for motorsports, and a buddy of mine is a crypto-centric professional race car driver, a guy named Trevor Andrusco, if you guys want to Google him. And that's Trevor Andrusco, just to say it again clearly. So Trevor had reached out and said, hey, tell me about your product or your project and your company. Let's get back in touch, so on and so forth. And I was like, man, I'd love to, bridge into the physical realm with NFTs and with crypto. And he's like, I was like, I don't want to just throw our name on a race car. Like, there's no value to that, right? That's just brand placement. You can do that anywhere. And I was like, let's have lunch. He goes, I tell you what, let's do some market research. So he invited us up to Road Atlanta, which is a big racetrack here in Georgia. We went up there, did some market research, got to meet him, got to meet his race team, which is FCP Euro, if you look them up. And they've shown a lot of interest in working with us. So we're actually putting a pitch deck together on how to kind of bring DeFi into motorsports for the 2023 season. So no guaranteed things yet, but it's definitely in the works, is the best that I can tell you without giving too much away. The value in that, to me, is one, exposing DeFi as not this like black dark alley monopoly money type of pump and dump scheme that everybody thinks that it might be. They hear crypto and they're like, ooh, we don't talk about that. And, I got a friend that's into that, and we just don't get it, and it's scary. It's like, it doesn't have to be. It just needs to be looked at as the future. It needs to be talked about openly and exposed as a really awesome opportunity for passive income and for new adventures for people. So Trevor, being a crypto-centric driver, is very passionate about building the Ember brand, and he's actually agreed to step aboard and run our motorsports division. And so we're looking to push Ember Motorsports into 2023 through sponsorships, racing, but most importantly, actual utility. And I'm happy to dive into that. I don't want to be too long-winded, but I'm happy to really very quickly jump into that utility. It's actually very simple. I just want to see if you have any questions on that so far.
No, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, like I said, I might have missed something. So yeah, anything that you want to fill us in that I haven't talked about today, yeah, you can tell us about. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So part of our 2023 utility plan is actually to build a line of experience NFTs. That was a kind of a cumulative effort between Stu, myself, David, Matt, and Trevor, the driver, to where we can bridge, DeFi with the real world. And what I mean by that are when we wrap a car, right? We can do a series, if we're going to wrap a race car, or sponsor a team, or sponsor a driver, or a circuit, and we're doing that. Let the community get involved. They invest in the NFT. That money goes towards paying for the promotional, aspect, and they get to see their NFT as part of a collage on the actual car wrap that's going to be televised. So cool opportunity, not immediate value, brand awareness, very important, but feeling like the community has some input into that. So that's one concept we talked about. Number two is really our core focus, which is experience NFTs. If you can envision putting an all expenses paid NFT together for a specific event, right? And that event includes your lodging, your travel, so on and so forth, whether it's to go spectate a race in the States or across the pond, whatever it is, or whether it's actually Ember putting together a race, let's just say, UTVs or ATVs, and doing a 100-mile race, into Las Vegas. That's what's actually, funny enough, what Trevor has a background doing. He's not just a driver, he's a motorsports consultant. And if you can envision getting a community of people together that invest in these NFTs, that's their ticket, and it's all expenses paid. They can go out, we set up a race, grand prize winner at the end kind of thing, and actually bridge crypto with the real world. So they're watching their investment take place from a leisure and entertainment standpoint. Now, the other side of that are for people that may not want to spend money, but they actually want an experience to learn to make more money. That's where we're going to do a different type of experience NFT with our friends at Block Syndicate, Stu, who you talked to a little bit ago. And if you're interested in hearing about that, it's pretty quick. I'd love for Stu to kind of speak up and explain on what that other side of an experience NFT would look like.
Yeah, happy to, John. So I know obviously the being involved with motorsports and anything interactive, that's a lot more sexy than some of the other experience-based NFTs that Ember agency is looking to do, but we're kind of looking at bridging into those real world services. Part of the experience NFT line is going to be the Block Syndicate services, and we actually do the full roadmap service. And this is not trilling my own firm, but just kind of an example of the services, really the NFT being the ticket into real world services. And so I've signed up Block Syndicate to do some of we do seminar services as well as individual or corporate roadmap and white glove servicing for DeFi, the full roadmap service. So that's going to be part of the experience line, and I know that's what John and Matt are really looking to do, is really how to bridge DeFi and brick and mortar and real world. And so that's where the two initial lines of the experience of the accessibility of the motorsports, and then also for real world brick and mortar services and service offerings. So that's where we're going to really try to have that proof of concept out into, and then being able to continue that conversation across a lot of other service providers across all industries.
That's awesome, Steve. Thanks, brother. Glenn, are we okay on time? I'd love to go through a couple more marketing pieces and then have Matt speak to one of the other kind of brick and mortar NFT ideas that he had. Do we have a few more minutes? Is that okay?
Yeah, we've still got 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll finish kind of going through my list here. So you've heard about kind of our 2023, quote unquote utility NFTs. It's not just going to be a ticket. It's going to be artistic. It's going to be something that you're proud to have in your wallet. It's a memory. It's exclusive access to future opportunities, so on and so forth. A lot to map out there, as you can imagine. But this isn't just like hey, let's find somebody to do it. We have somebody who's already working on it. We have a whole separate Telegram chat with Trevor and people on his team as well that are already seeking paths to make this happen in 2023 and allow people to see their NFT kind of come to life. Outside of that, we feel that education is a big part of this, right? That's where Stu comes in. That's where David has spent a lot of his time in his ecosystem with Blockstar. Matt and I spent a ton of hours, hundreds of hours in education in the previous project and Ember as well. By doing so, our level 1 NFT is actually a character, and level 2, I guess I should say. It's actually a character. He's kind of our mascot. His name's Ember. Obviously derivative of Ember, but he's kind of a playful little mischievous character, but he's friendly, and we want that to be kind of a nice bridge for parents, kids, and people new to DeFi. So we're actually having a prototype made. We just got photos of it back, and we sent some feedback on it, but we're actually having a Squishmallow, stuffed, plush toy made of MB, and we're going to leverage that to kind of reach the youth and the parents market. Because who better to be a diamond hand than a child, right? And the way that we look at it is if the parent is educated properly, they educate their child. That child, sitting on a wallet that could, pay for their college one day, or have it, farmed or staked. It could pay for their college. It could pay for their wedding. It could pay for their first house. Or at least contribute to it, right? Like that's real world utility. So making sure we educate the youth and parents or people new to DeFi. We have a whole user experience around MB and really the toy model that we're going to pursue once full production gets going, hopefully this December. Outside of that, as you know, outside of my CEO obligations and my entrepreneurial background, I am an artist. I'm an illustrator, designer, so on and so forth. The NFTs are all handmade. I think y'all shared a video in chat. I'm not sure. But we're taking these custom orders so people feel like they get to be a part of the design experience. So just being able to interact one-on-one, have your own kind of personal design consultant, yours truly, is really fun. I get to know people and understand kind of their vision. So while we got a few more minutes, I'd love for Matt to speak to the brick and mortar NFT concept that he had come up with that we're really, really excited about pitching.
Yeah, so I'll make it fast. I know we're short. So one of the ideas I had was just around like local breweries, craft brews and things like that are popping up all over. They've been huge the past 10 years or so. and they're always changing flavors. They've got really awesome designs in their cans. It's just an ever evolving thing, and the people that tie into that stuff are usually really passionate about what they're drinking, what they're trying, and they always go out to their friends when they have something really cool. So we want to do an NFT combination with a microbrewery or multiple of them, where each of their cans, you buy that particular beer. It's got a QR code. You scan it, you get that NFT. Maybe it gets you access to some behind the scenes kind of stuff, or access to a special newsletter where you get updates on other things, stuff like that. But the main thing is that it'll give those microbreweries one more thing that they can push out, makes them different from the rest, and it also expands the knowledge of Ember and how we can help other companies. So it's kind of a win-win. So that's the idea there.
Let's just take a question. We've got a couple of minutes left. Western Beast, you had a question for Ember Token team. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, man. Okay, so from my understanding of Ember, unlike any other startup project, is powered by a backbone of many businesses. Among these businesses, they include but are not limited to financial risk management, economic financial advisors, blockchain, among others. I was actually speaking to one project today, and they said that they actually use most of these services. So I wanted asking, would you be lending these services as a third-party risk analysis and management company to other projects?
Yeah, if I understand
If
the
I
question.
understood your question, yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt. We're saying the same thing. The great minds think alike. No, please go ahead. Go ahead.
As long as I understood correctly, you're just saying, like, would we be giving access to the same consulting and advisory side? And the answer would be yes. Any client that's working with Ember, they have access to our advisory board through us. So if they have questions, if they want to get larger scale answers and advice on what to do, that's where our advisory and our consulting side comes into place. So absolutely.
Okay. So my final question. You said that I saw on your white paper also that you said you're building a cross-chain reward system that will provide relief to falling blockchain projects while bringing passive income to investors through reflections and yield farming. The thing is, no matter how optimistic an investor is, they will definitely be skeptical when you say you're trying to revive a falling blockchain project. How can you convince them that what you're doing actually makes sense and is definitely advantageous in the long run?
Jared, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, no problem. So, very fair question. That's why we have the advisory that we do. Everything from blockchain with David, economics with Stu, risk management. That's probably the biggest. We're not just going to put our brand reputation or our ecosystem on the line for anybody. There's going to be, I would assume, a 20 to 30 point checklist, which obviously we're still in development of. We're only a month old, but my goal, and I think our goal as a business, is to make sure that we're going through our checks and balances, making sure we know who we're working with, and it's going to require doxing. It's going to require contracts being signed, and if people are not willing to reveal what's under the hood, they're not willing to reveal what happened, they're not going to be truthful with us. Unfortunately, we can't help everybody. People have to be willing to open up to us under client, basically client privacy and client privilege, to where their secrets are safe with us. That level of trust that we build with people is what's going to drive that. As far as the recovery fund, I know we didn't really talk a lot about that, but just to give you an idea, we just since launch, we've raised I think about 156 BNB that's just sitting there. You can go in our main chat and actually type in recovery. And you can see where that wallet is. You can see that it's been untouched. It's continually raising money. As we recover projects in the space, and help them recover, help them grow. Our goal is to actually convert that, if there's no other projects that need recovery or that we're working or engaged with, that becomes an investment fund, that people in our community who have an open voice, this is a community token, can step up and say, hey, I've got an idea for something, but I don't have the money to do it, or I would love to leverage your team to do it. We get to invest in our own project with them potentially. So there's just opportunities like that we're going to exist. or that are going to exist with us, that'll help hopefully bring the right type of investor in and think, okay, you guys are doing good in the space, you're helping communities recover, and you're bringing the light, but you're also willing to take those same funds that you're accruing on the side untouched and invest in new utilities and new opportunities. And some of those are hopefully going to be driven by our community.
All right, thanks, Gerald. Here's my final one. This is the last question I actually have.
Sure.
I saw in your introduction to the white paper that you're providing on-chain solution to others. And I can actually agree with the fact that blockchain technology will not be limited to, basically only cryptocurrencies. I mean, there are basically already other use cases. I wanted asking, which industry will you be focusing, your radar at the moment as you're going to incorporate the use of these blockchain solutions that you intend to provide? What industries do you intend to, start with?
Yeah, it's another good question. Thank you. So, and we love questions. Feel free to put them in our chat too after the AMA. I'm going to try to go through this as fast as I can, so hopefully I don't talk too quick. So I think there's a lot of industries that could leverage blockchain. I am not a blockchain dev. I am a brand strategist, but I am learning it. I am understanding it well. That's why we have the team we have. So I'm going to speak to the best ability. If Stu or Matt want to chime in, or David, feel free. But I think there's a lot of industries that could benefit from it. Everything from real estate to pharmaceuticals to obviously finance, we know that, but I think there's a series of people and communities and environments that could find benefit from it. It's easy to market to crypto people. We're already in an ecosystem. There's not to say there's no value there, but if people want to find out about us and learn what we can do and bring to the space, all they got to do is look inside the same ecosystem we're all a part of. I think the harder concept that we love a challenge, right? The harder concept is getting people and converting their mindset from traditional databases and conventional technology that's becoming antiquated into the idea and really just the vision of blockchain, right? So to me, our core environment, our core, I guess, clientele will likely be people that are not in DeFi, because that's the only way it grows. We've got to continue to educate people on the space. And it's a harder uphill battle, but I think that's a valiant effort for anybody in this space to take, and we're willing to hit it head on.
Thanks so much, JR. Thanks so much, Batman. The Ember token is one of the best projects we've actually had an AMA with. I really enjoyed this session. I'm still going to go back and play the recording so that I can actually ask the rest of my questions in the Telegram group. I'm wishing the Ember token and its team and the project the best, and I hope the project stays bullish moonward. Over to you, Glenn.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, brother.
Okay, thank you very much, Westerbeast. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but it's been great speaking to JR, Batman, Crypto, Stu, and David. And outside of sort of marketing at WellCoin Talk, we do collaborations with other projects, and I think we can set up a call with the core team, with the Ember team as well, and we can maybe look at how we could sort of collaborate outside of sort of financial things. We do educational research. That's what we aim to do here at WellCoin Talk. So it was really exciting and great for our community investors to hear about the Ember token and the Ember agency today. As we say, WellCoin Talks for research and educational purposes. It's not financial advice, but you can check out the website, the white paper, and the official socials in our main chat. That's what I always recommend to the community investors. Check out the website, the white paper. Like I say, they're in our main chat, and the socials if you've got any questions after the AMA. And if you like what you see, you're welcome to invest and join the community over at the Ember project. Thank you very much for coming, guys. I think we've got Spin the Wheel as well tonight. Two $50 winners for the lucky. Anyone that joined the VC.
Just want to say thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome, JR and Batman. Yeah, it's been great having you on tonight. And like I say, I'll set up a call with the team sometime that can maybe have a talk about collaborating in the future. It's really exciting.
Love that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
The wheel actually.
Yeah, can you see the wheel up, Glenn? I've been trying to share the screen. I don't know if it's up.
Yeah, it's there, yeah.
Yeah, it's up. All right, let me shuffle it around and we'll do 2 winners for $50 each. And as always, we do have the chat log, like Glenn said. Check out what the agency is all about, because I know everyone's excited about everyone adopting crypto and this new wave of people and everyone, you know, onboarding and all this, but all these people, they're going to need services, and all those service providers, they're going to need to be onboarded to crypto, and agencies like Ember, you know, sort of click into place when it comes to that. And by the looks of it, you know, they're doing great on solely on referrals and building something super cool. But I guess, yeah, some of our community were excited about certain I don't know, niches, or if they're taking any other approaches, and it's understandable. Probably, you know, it's easier to onboard from Web 2 to Web 3 and all this, but well, if you ask me, as long as we're bringing more service providers, I don't care which niches or industries they're coming from, just bring them all on. So the more the better. So I just want to, you know, thank the team for being here, and this is something really exciting, and thank you everyone for participating. This has been really a cool session. Yeah, really awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, guys, and take care. I'll finish the record and send over a copy for you to share in your community. I'll send that into the main chat for anyone that couldn't run the call today.
Fantastic. That'll be very helpful.